Are you smart? If I ask you that question and your answer is anything but yes, you might not be smart. Just click X and stop watching this video. This is only for smart people. Some of you are too smart for your own good. Take the intelligence down a little bit. Give me 10 points of your intelligence and I will show you how to actually make more money. But when it comes to making money, there is a point where you can actually be too smart, where you can think, oh, I'll just apply my intelligence and figure out something that no one else has figured out. That's how I'll get rich. Now, I've spent over 20 years working with engineers, doctors, tech founders. These are very smart people, and yet a lot of them struggle with money, not because of their intelligence, but because they fall into 6 predictable traps that feel smart, but quietly cost them millions over time. The worst trap of all has built this entire industry to appeal to smart people's egos. So I'm gonna show you how to avoid that. But first, trap number 1, waiting until you're ready. Now, when you are smart, you've gotten rewarded for being prepared your whole life. Think about it. If it's time to figure out investing, smart people will open up a dozen browser tabs. They've got ChatGPT conversation going. They're learning about asset allocation and tax optimization, particularly for lump sum investing. And the idea that smart people use is, I want to know more than when I first started. Meanwhile, someone else, perhaps maybe not as smart as you, might read one good article, open a retirement account, set up an automatic monthly contribution because they're lazy, and then get on with their life. Now, one of these options is actually far more likely to grow your money. Which one do you think it is? You know what? I already know that you're afraid to answer because you were so penalized as a child for getting the wrong answer that you don't even want to try to guess. Just freaking try it. Go out on a limb. This is just a YouTube video. It is one that's going to make you millions of dollars if you follow the process and you're young enough and you aggressively invest, but you're afraid. Oh, Ramit's going to ask me the wrong question. The correct answer is the person who gets started and automates their money. Remember, investing does not reward you having 45 tabs open. It actually doesn't even traditionally reward understanding. In other words, you can read 40 books and you're not going to get better returns than someone who's read one book about money. You know what investing rewards? Time. When it comes to building serious wealth, learning more is often a form of procrastination employed by really smart people. I'll show you the math. 2 people invest the same amount, $500 a month. The average person, A, starts at age 25. The smart person, B, decides to read 44 textbooks on portfolio construction. And then they start investing at age 35 instead because they're so busy with these books. Person B invested for 30 years. At the end of that time, they have $585,000 at retirement. Person A, who hasn't picked up a textbook since they were 20 years old, they invested for an extra 10 years. Guess how much they end up with? $1.2 million. In other words, the time you were waiting until you're ready would have turned into $650,000 in returns later. You know, I went to Stanford, and when I started talking about money with my friends at Stanford, I learned most of them knew nothing about money. But the irony was that many of them thought they should know. I'm like, how were you supposed to know this? We're young, we're 19, 20 years old. Nobody's really taught us this. Ironically, my friends who did not go to an elite university, they knew that they didn't know how money worked. And so when I would say, hey, let me show you how it works, they were like, yes, please show me. Whereas people who were a little too smart for their own good would say, well, I'm already supposed to know this. Why do I want to come and learn this? Which one do you think actually built more net worth? Which one do you think started investing early? For that example of person A and person B, the person who didn't overthink it actually built more net worth. Not because they were smarter, not because they got lucky, simply because they avoided analysis paralysis and they got started. And smart people fall into this trap a lot. We love to analyze. Give me all the angles. I need to find out how it's not going to work, because the better I am at analysis, then the smarter I am. Here's what to do instead. Open an investment account today. Do not wait. It takes less than an hour. You can use any of the brokerages that you see on the screen now. Next, I recommend investing in a simple, low-cost target date fund or index fund. Set up an automatic transfer. You can start at $50 a month or more, whatever you can afford using your conscious spending plan. And third, leave it alone. You are now an investor and you are letting time work in your favor. Now, this perfectionism that so many of us pursue shows up when we invest, but it also shows up in an even worse way in the next trap. Trap number 2, perfectly executing a flawed plan. I realized early on that when I worked at a tech company, we would be having discussions about pricing and marketing, and whoever came up with a question to ask, the smart people in that room would attack it like rabid dogs. And we'd be going back and forth. What about this? And have you thought about that? And after doing this for a year and 2 years, we kind of realized, like, are we even asking the right question? You see, sometimes smart people get really good at solving the wrong problems. But really smart people realize the best use of their intelligence is to choose the right problems to focus on. This is why you see all these people, they're spending time analyzing their coffee consumption. Oh, if I optimize it, it'll actually be an average of $3.25 per coffee, not $3.75. I save so much. Wrong question. You should be focusing on $30,000 questions, big ones. Too many high earners are using this elaborate spreadsheets and optimizing different inputs, playbooks across credit card points, 7 different cards. Wrong question. Those are examples of what I call $3 questions. For example, should I switch savings accounts to get 4% instead of 3.85%? Should I use this credit card when I buy gas and that credit card to buy tires and this credit card to buy a bagel? Now, there is a time and a place to focus on cutting costs, but I find that people are often so deep in the $3 weeds that they're not even asking the right question. I suggest you ask $30,000 questions like, how can I increase my income? Can I negotiate my salary? Should I start a side business? Am I paying too much in investment fees? That 1% fee that I'm paying my financial advisor, did I realize it will cost me $385,000 over my lifetime? These are the kind of big questions that I want you to apply your intelligence to. For example, let's say you currently make $80,000. Let's say you negotiate $25,000 raise. Stop right there. About to go, Ramit Sethi, in what economy can I negotiate a $25,000 raise? First of all, there are a lot of people who can negotiate $25,000 raises. I've helped them do it. More importantly, apply the example. Maybe it's not $25,000, maybe it's $2,500. Stick with me because I want to show you the math. Let's say that you also get a cost of living increase of 3% every year. After 30 years, with that raise, you have earned a total of $4.99 million. But without that $25,000 raise, you earned $3.8 million. Do you see what happened? From that one conversation, you made $1.18 million more. Maybe it's unrealistic to negotiate a $25,000 raise. So let me show you the math with a $5,000 raise. If you get that raise and you invest the extra $5,000 every year for 40 years at a 7% return, you would retire with just over $1 million. Adjust the numbers for your own situation. What I'm showing you here are big $30,000, $300,000 questions. And when you focus on these big wins instead of micro optimizations, you can solve 100 smaller problems in one move. Here are a few big wins that will move the needle in your life. Negotiate every job offer. People are not just going to pay you more out of the goodness of their heart. You've got to negotiate and show why you are worth it. Best way to negotiate is to be a top performer with proof to back it up. 6 months before your current job's review, ask your manager what it takes to be a top performer, get specific goals that you both agree on, and then exceed them. That shifts the conversation from, hey, can I make more money? I hate the economy, to here's how I will make you and the company more money. Next up, develop rare skills. Get so good at your job that your boss dreads the idea of you quitting. Now, how do you do this? It means identifying the skills that your company values the most and actually becoming exceptional at them. Notice that I'm not giving you some abracadabra trick to subtly negotiate $10,000. You actually have to be good in order to negotiate it. But when you approach your career with this vision, it can happen. Next, focus on income growth first. There is a limit to how much you can cut, but there's no limit to how much you can earn. And earning more gives you a lot more financial freedom. It allows you to solve dozens of smaller problems. And that could be, for example, starting a side business. There's so many different ways to increase your income. Start thinking in that approach, not just, can I cut costs on everything? But here's the thing, even when you start earning more, there's a common trap that guarantees your income increase is not going to help you as much as it could. And this is where smart people make another expensive mistake. You work hard to increase your income. Maybe you've negotiated raises, you started a side business, but you treat your taxes like an afterthought. If you are a high earner, and especially if you're a business owner, taxes are likely one of your biggest expenses. And a lot of people just hand their documents to a CPA once a year and hope for the best. But that's reactive. I would rather treat my money proactively. And that's why I partnered with Gelt. Gelt is a modern CPA firm that specializes in high income earners and business owners year round, not just during tax season. Here's what makes them different. A proactive tax plan that's tied to your goals, your cash flow, and your P&L. They have guidance on credits, deductions, and entity setup to optimize your structure. And they've got a clean, modern platform that keeps everything organized and on track. If you're making multiple six figures or you're running a business and you don't have a proactive tax strategy, you might be overpaying, and that can be costing you a lot. So if you want to see what a real tax strategy looks like, visit joingelt.com/Ramit to schedule your consultation today. You can scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description below. Now, let's talk about another trap that happens after you increase your income. Trap number 3, resetting your starting line. When you have money, especially in America, the world is going to give you lots of ways to spend it. A bigger house, a fancier car, a trip to the Maldives. Maybe you see new people on your Instagram feed driving a beautiful Range Rover. You go, I need a Range Rover for the space. Here's what makes this a trap. It's not a problem just to see a picture of a beautiful SUV. The problem is that for smart people, we are very good at justifying that we need it. My income is going up. It's gonna keep going up. I could probably afford this car right now. It's a stretch, but 2-3 years, I'll be making more money. No big deal. Well, that's not how careers work. That's not even how wealth works. Wealth doesn't grow purely based on your income. Wealth grows in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. This is why you hear of so many people who make a lot of money, but they don't actually have a substantial high net worth. The more they make, the more they spend, and they're spending it on stuff they don't even particularly care about. And if this is you, without you noticing, your new income level becomes your new spending baseline. I hear it all the time with people whose incomes go up and they start loosening the reins. Hey, we'll take an extra vacation. Hey, I don't mind getting this new car because we'll make a lot more money. Now, that's okay. If you make more, you should spend more, but they do not reset where their spending is going. This is why 1 in 3 households earning between 100K and 150K still worry about paying their bills, even though they make a lot of money. The move that works here is to create a rule that removes this decision entirely. The next time you get a raise, my suggestion, take 80% of that, send it to your investments, and then take the other 20% and have a blast. Go out to a restaurant, take a beautiful trip, buy a beautiful piece of clothing or a bag. Do it guilt-free because you know that you've taken most of your increase and you've sent it to an area that is important to you. Meanwhile, you've also given yourself permission to spend on the things you love. So far, we've talked about the traps that are slowing your progress, but these next few traps are worse because if you aren't careful, any of these can erase hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if the rest of your financial system is perfect. So let's take a look, starting with trap number 4, thinking you are smarter than the market. I like smart people, but sometimes some of you are extremely dumb because you think you can outsmart the market. When the market goes up or the market goes down, smart people love to believe they have an edge. Hey, I'm a doctor. I understand the value of education and I know how to learn all these things. So I'm going to do the same thing with investing and outsmart everybody else. That's not how it works, you freak. People see these headlines, they see the green arrows, they go, I got it. Let me apply my proprietary strategy. But this is just equivalent to somebody who is panic selling. I'm scared, I see red, sell it all. And believing that you can buy and sell at the right time will actually cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Listen carefully because this is actually one of the most costly mistakes that everybody, smart, not so smart, older, younger, everybody makes this. Timing the market, trying to outsmart the market is a classic mistake. And there are people incentivized to make this even worse. There's an entire industry of influencers who build an audience acting like they can predict what's going to happen. Some of them follow me on Twitter, And they'll write me little taunts when the market goes up or international stocks drop. Haha, Ramit said you can't predict it. But then when things turn, you never hear from them again. They're actually notorious for deleting their trades because they only want to show you that they are winners. You know, a study measured that if you had invested $10,000 and just left it alone for 15 years, you'd end up with around $30,000. But if you tried to time the market, meaning you tried to decide based on the news when to invest and when not, if you did that and you missed just the 30 best trading days, you would end up with only $6,873. You would have lost money. Do you understand what this means? It means that when you time the market, it's not just about randomly being right or wrong. Did I put 3 ounces of chicken in my meal or 3.5 ounces? We're talking about thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of dollars. The best days in the market don't come when you think they will. Sometimes they come after yesterday was the other best day. The moments that feel most dangerous when the analysis says to get out means that you will probably stay out when the market recovers. Please know this, over 80% of professional investors, these are people who are highly educated, whose jobs it is to beat the market, fail to do it over and over again for the long term. The idea that you can outsmart them when even they can't outsmart the market is preposterous. Some of you need to really take a big fat humble pill. Hey, maybe I'm not the smartest in the world at this. Maybe I don't actually need to be the smartest in the world to succeed. I'm smart. And even I know that I can't beat the market. So you know what I do? You know what my actual strategy is? It's boring. Automate my investments and get on with my life. I don't need 20 financial apps on my phone. I don't need to read the market news. What's the trades happening today? There's no reason. I set up my system to automatically invest every single month, whether it's up, whether it's down, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm dead. It's always going to be investing. And the market continues to reward me for the simplicity of my system. I want this for you. I actually want you to stop overwhelming yourself with a bunch of investing to-dos and just calm, cool, and collected. Once you have set up this simple, calm approach, I'm going to show you another big thing to look out for that most people are not aware of at all. But before I share how to protect yourself against this, I want you to stop and ask yourself a question. Even if you understand the concepts in this video so far, if I asked you right now, do you know exactly what to do tomorrow to begin and grow your investing journey? Would you know what to do? You know, I've seen thousands of smart people who have money, they want to invest, getting stopped by little things. Hey, which account should I choose? Which fund should I choose? Do I set up the automation to happen on the 1st of the month or the 5th of the month? And it's really common. There's a lot of complexities when it comes to this stuff. So you hit a roadblock, you freeze, and then you add it to your to-do list. But a year later, often nothing has changed. And I want you to take action. I don't want you to simply watch these videos and go, that's interesting. No, I want you to build real wealth to live your rich life. And that is exactly why I created Money Coaching. Inside this program, we work quickly. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up your entire financial system step by step in just 48 hours. I'm not only talking about investing, I'm talking about making sure your bills are automatically paid. I'm talking about every December, how to set up a 1% increase in your contributions rate, which will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and more. Best of all, I will show you how to spend money guilt-free on the things that matter to you, because this life is not simply about restriction. In Money Coaching, you're going to get live calls with me to answer your specific questions, plus step-by-step playbooks and an incredible community of other people who want to live their rich life too. You don't need to simply understand more material. It's time to actually take action. So if you want to stop overthinking and start building real wealth, scan the QR code here or click the link below to join Money Coaching today. Now, let's get to the next trap. Trap number 5, overpaying for a false sense of security. I like paying for coaches. I've paid for personal trainers. I've paid for a horseback guide. I've paid for a lot of different guides. I'm happy to do it. But there is something very different when it comes to your own wealth. Once you've started doing well, once you've accumulated some assets, a lot of smart people think that the next step is to hire a financial advisor. It sounds reasonable. It actually feels like a mature, even sophisticated move. But the vast majority of people that I talk to do not understand how much their financial advisor actually costs. And I want to show you the math because it is truly shocking. Let's say you have $50,000 in investments and you add $1,000 a month for 35 years. If you do that through a financial advisor, you'd have about $1.7 million when you retire. That's pretty good. But what if you did it on your own? What if you chose a low-cost index fund, which is incredibly easy to do? You would actually end up with over $2 million. The fees that you paid that you weren't even aware of end up being about $400,000 going into your advisor's pockets for the same return. Remember, the 1% fee is not a fixed cost. It compounds based on the size of your portfolio. In other words, the better your investments do, the longer you invest, the more you pay. Now, I'm not against financial advisors per se, but I would never pay a percentage of assets under management. I would pay a personal trainer $150 an hour. I would pay a media trainer $500 an hour, but I would not pay them 1% of my portfolio. Why would I do that? Pay an hourly fee? Great. Do it yourself? Also great. But never ever pay a percentage of your portfolio. Instead, I recommend if you're going to DIY, purchase a simple low-cost index fund from a place like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. No advisor required if that's a simplicity of your portfolio. If you choose to find an advisor, make sure they charge a flat fee or they charge on a project basis or hourly basis. You can pay them a lot. I don't mind paying premium fees, but not a percentage. And now the decision that determines whether any of this sticks. Before I get into it though, I noticed that about half of you watching this channel are not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. I'm gonna keep sharing videos that show you real math and money psychology to help you build real wealth. So click subscribe right now. Trap number 6, chasing an intellectual high. Now there is a tragedy of good investing because once you've cracked a code, meaning it's actually simpler than you think, and you have earned tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars in your portfolio, the tragedy is it's boring. Everyone else you'll notice starts to talk about market corrections and AI. But if you are following a boring portfolio, none of that matters to you. And sometimes it can feel like you are missing out because your balance is going to slowly increase month over month. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, but generally over a long term, it goes up. And it's going to happen automatically. Truth is, it's not very entertaining. My investments are boring. Maybe I log in every so often. I look at the number. I go, oh, close. It doesn't feel like I'm doing anything smart. Here's my message for you. If your investments feel boring, good. Your investments should be boring. It's not meant to be entertainment. You do not want to find yourself on Wall Street bets or using your investments as a source of identity. You want to have fun? Get a dog. Watch a TV show. This is meant to build wealth. And the truth is, wealth rewards consistency, not novelty. Early on, learning matters. You want to learn how asset allocation works and you want to learn what diversification is. But once your system is running, one of the most important things you can do is stop fiddling with it. And that's why one of my core money rules is to fight for simplicity in your finances. Y'all are fighting about stuff that doesn't matter anymore. Oh, should we get the extra ravioli? Who gives a f? Here's what you do. Automate your finances. Paycheck comes in, investments get funded first. Allow the years of compounding to build serious wealth. Simplify. Use a target date fund or a set of index funds. And if you want to learn how this works, you can get chapter 7 of my book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Then review your accounts maybe twice a year. Make sure everything is still on track. But remember that the more you review, the more you are fiddling with stuff. It's like messing with Thanksgiving dinner. Stop messing with the turkey. It's cooking. Leave it alone. And if you can't help but experiment, crypto, individual stocks, whatever, create a rule. Hey, I'm going to invest up to 5% of my portfolio in random fun stuff. And I don't care if I lose the money, but do not touch the rest of your portfolio. Set it up, automate it, move on. That is how you build real wealth. And if you want the exact steps to automate every piece of your money system, check out this video next.